Hello and welcome back, coders. I'm Miss Blair and I will be leading you through the Coding Camp series. I want to let you know that this series builds upon each lesson. The first lesson, Talk to the Animals, was posted on September 1st. It goes over the basics of Scratch and vocabulary you'll need to know. Feel free to start there and catch up. These videos aren't going anywhere. Okay, so let's begin our lesson today. It's called Musical Keyboard. So like always, we're going to go to scratch.mit.edu and click on Create. We are going to create a musical keyboard today. So we're not going to be doing much with our stage area at all, actually. We're going to be focused on just coding today. By using the music extension, the keyboard will be able to sound like a guitar, synthesizer, or piano. Today we're going to choose piano. Pressing different keys on the computer keyboard will play different musical notes. To avoid repeating all the code for each note, we will create our own blocks and define our own special play function. Today's key concept is functions. As well as all the commands that are already in Scratch, we can add our own new blocks by combining them. Programmers call this writing your own functions. If you create your own functions, you won't have to keep writing the same code, and your code will be easier for other people to understand. Okay, let's get started today. Since we aren't doing anything over here on the stage, I'm just going to go ahead and delete my cat. Once we are done today and you have your musical keyboard, feel free to add code to connect it to something on your stage. So we need to make some variables. We're going to come over here to variables, make a variable. The first one is going to be sound. Press enter or click OK. And then we're going to have another one called octave, O-C-T-A-V-E. We're going to do something cool with them over here. It's not going to do much, but I just want you to know that you have the option. If you hover over sound and you right click, you should get something that says normal readout, large readout, or slider. We are going to choose slider. I'm going to pull down my octave, and now you can see that the sound bar has a little slider, and it controls the number that you see up here. We're going to do the same to octave. So we right click over the word octave and we choose slider. Now I'm going to go back to sound, right click again, and now I have the option to change slider range. I'm going to left click on that. I want my minimum value to be 1, and I want my maximum value to be 21. Okay, same thing. I'm hovering over octave. I right click, scroll down to change slider range. I want my minimum for octave to be 2 and my maximum to be 8. Press OK. Now we are going to get into what we were talking about with adding our own blocks. So down here are pink blocks, and we are going to make our own. So we make a block. In here, we're going to title it Play, and then we want to add an input. So we click on Add an Input Number or Text, and I'm going to type in number 1, and I click OK. So I should now have a block in here that says Define Play Number 1, and I should also have a block under My Blocks entitled Play with the option to put in an input. We are going to add to this code right here, but first we need to add our extension. So remember, the extensions are down here in the bottom left-hand corner in this blue button. So we click Add Extension. We've done the pen before and music. We're going to do music again. So we click on music, and now we should have all of those music blocks we've used before when we made our drum kit, remember? So we're going to this time do set instrument to, but instead of just piano, we're going to use piano down here. Instead of this, I want to use my variable that I made, and I want it to be sound. So I'm going to pop in sound instead of that piano. I go back to music, and I want to play note, it says 60 for 0.25 beats, but we're going to change that up. First off, I want it to be half a beat, so we have 0.5 beats, but we're going to mess around in here, all right? It's going to get a little funky. So we go to operators, because remember, operators do the fun math for us. This is a little asterisk, so that means it's multiplication. We're going to pull the multiplication over. So now it should say playing note blank times blank. Inside this first blank, we're going to pull over our other variable, octave. So we go back to variables. We're going to pull over octave. Make sure it's just highlighting in there. Good. Now we want to make our math even crazier. So if some of y'all have started algebra, you know that there are a set of operators, so we can do times. But inside here, we're going to actually do some addition. So we're going to go back to operators. We're going to pull over this plus. So what my code says now is plain note octave times, and we're going to type in here 12 plus, and we're going to have the number 1. We drag down from this to find. So this crazy math in here says play note octave times 12 plus whatever number we have down here for 0.5 beats. That's a lot of math. So I'm really glad the computer is going to do this for us. Okay, we've got a lot of coding to do. So luckily we've all learned how to duplicate codes, right? So now we are going to go to events, and we're going to build one block, and then we're going to duplicate it over and over and over so we have a full-on keyboard when we're done. We are going to pull over when space key pressed under events, but I want this to be A. So if you look at your keyboard, this will make sense in a little bit, but when we press the letter A, we want it to play a certain note. So we're going to go to My Blocks, and we want play, and it's going to be 0. Good. Then we've got music, so you can click on music, or mine is already over here. We want set instrument to piano, and we want to play note 60 for 0.5 beats. And when we click on the 60, look at this, it shows us a keyboard. So this is what we're going to do today. Look at the keyboard in front of you on your computer. See how I've made this A? So when you press the letter A, it's going to make that sound. Now, if you look up, you've got the letter W. The W is going to be this black key. Then we have S, E, D, F, T, G, Y, H, U, J, K. Oh my goodness, that's a lot. So we're going to make it through so that we can play the piano. So I click outside of here, and remember, this is going to be so much faster if we can duplicate. So I'm going to hover over our event block, and I right-click, duplicate, drag, and left-click over. So we need it to be when the W key is pressed. So we click on that, we scroll down, we click on W, and then we're going to click on that 60, and we want to make sure it's this one. So it corresponds. Click outside. So now try pressing your A and your W. They should be two different sounds. How exciting! So we're going to hover, right-click, duplicate, and left-click. So maybe I don't remember what is next. So I'm going to come down here. Very good. And that should be S on my board. So I'm going to come to the W. I'm going to make sure it corresponds with the right letter on my keyboard. So I have A, W, S. Awesome. Keep going. So we're going to duplicate that. And the next one we're going to do, I'm a visual person, so I'm going to come down here. It's the letter E. So we're going to be here. And then I can find my E up here. Right click, duplicate, drag, and drop. Ooh, we can make like our own song out of that. Come down here, so it'll be D on our computer. So let's practice. A, W, S, E, D. Nice. Duplicate and drop. So what's the next letter I need? I need the F. So when we press F on our keyboard, we should have play note 65. Duplicate this down here. And what's next? T. So this is going to be T, letter T. Good. Duplicate. Remember, you can always pause and catch up. So we've got G. Scroll to the letter G. Right click, duplicate, drag, and drop. What's my next letter on the keyboard? Looks like this is going to be a Y. G sharp. We don't have that on our keyboard, so we've got Y. Right click, duplicate, drag, and drop. Let me scroll so we can see. So we just did Y. We're almost there, friends. We've got H. So we're going to scroll and we find H. Right click, duplicate, drag, and drop. Next letter we do is U. So let's find the letter U. You can say it with me, right? Right click, duplicate, drag, and drop. You're going to be saying that in your sleep tonight. After U, we have J. We've got J, 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 J. And we right click, duplicate, drag, and drop. And the J. Then the last one we have is K. So let's go here and we will scroll to the K. There you go, friends. Try playing some of your notes. So now you can compose your own song within Scratch. You just made an electrical keyboard. So you turned your computer, iPad, whatever you're working with, into an electric keyboard. That's pretty darn cool if you ask me. So you can go in here and play. Look at all the other sounds. You can do a steel drum, a vibraphone, a choir, a wooden flute, a saxophone, electric piano, organ, guitar. There's so many different things. You just turned your computer into a musical instrument. I think that's pretty amazing, pretty cool. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today during coding camp. We do have another lesson next week, same time, same place. Thank you guys so much and keep coding.